If you've ever asked the question, is it safe to live near a power tower, you're going to get your answer today. I've got an engineer named Armando. Hey.
Hey guys, how are you?
Hey, say hi to your dad in Brazil.
Oi pai, tudo bem?
Great. Guys, we've got several power towers right here. What are we looking at, Armando?
So we are looking at very high voltage power lines. So in the range between 100 kV volts to 500 kV volts. So we have all sorts of power lines along the Catawba River here.
Yeah, we're not that far from Mason's Bend, kind of across the river there, which again, oh, wait a minute, I have a question for you.
Yes.
When you see a sign like that, overhead power lines, danger, people get kind of nervous thinking, oh, I don't want to live near a power line. What's the truth behind that from your perspective as a 15-year expert in this field?
Well, that's nothing more than a sign for construction. So for the construction trucks not to hit the power line above the street. So that has nothing to do with the electricity or the electromagnetic forces induced by the power lines.
Good to know. And I got the sense from asking you to shoot this video with me that, and you're a subscriber, we appreciate you, that you're not concerned and people probably shouldn't be concerned. Is that kind of the summation of what we're talking about?
That's correct. As a matter of fact, I used to leave. I mean, there was a big power line, you know, running at the backyard of my house, one of the houses that I had in Georgia. So I mean, I worked with that, and I had a power line in my backyard, so I was not concerned about that.
Well, one thing one of my broker partners says, Rodney Jones, is the two concerns are, how does it look? Do I care about seeing the power tower from my backyard? And number two, you know, is it safe? So what are the concerns about safety that people have?
So I think it's a lot of like misinformation. So I would say that like 20, 30, 40 years ago, so there was like a lot of information in the news concerning power lines and the effects on our health. So ever since, there was like a lot of studies about that, and there's no evidence that the electromagnetic force actually causes any harm, because we're talking about low frequency electromagnetic field here, right? So
when you say low frequency, what do you mean exactly?
So when you go and do like an X-ray, so that's high frequency. That's high frequency electromagnetic field. So it's different. It's the difference between ionized and non-ionized electromagnetic forces. So here with power lines, we are basically talking about low frequency non-ionized electromagnetic field. So the difference is there's no studies specifically that show any harm that could be caused to ourselves, to our DNA. So there's like ton of materials. You could go to the World Health Organization page and do your own research. So you're gonna see that there's nothing specifically that says that those power lines would be connected to any source of concern.
Well, and then there's the visual. And again, Rodney and I were talking about this morning that, you know, the same concerns that you might have, you know, even just from an aesthetic. There's a guy living right between the power lines and been there a long time, obviously, not the new home development that we're in. You know, the concern would be, hey, when I go to sell my house, you know, I may have the same concerns, you know, from somebody, a prospective buyer. So something to think about. But, you know, I tell people, Armando, hey, you want to live near the water? Hey, here in South Carolina and North Carolina, because we've got Lake Norman, we've got Mountain Island Lake, and we've got down here at Lake Wiley that we've got power towers. And that's because, well, why don't you, from an engineer perspective, tell us about why they build, dam up the rivers and to get power.
Sure. So basically there's like a lot of different sources of energy. So hydroelectric generation is just like one of them. So you know, you could get like energy from solar generation, from wind farms, from nuclear generation. So the ones from hydro is one of the cleanest. As a matter of fact, when people talk about renewable energy, a lot of people don't think about hydro as one of the sources for renewable energy, but it is one of the cleanest sources of energy that we can get. So The power lines basically they are intended to transmit energy from one point to another, and you got to step up the voltage to a higher voltage so that you don't lose energy in the process. So when you see,
that's what a transformer's for, right?
Yeah, the transformers, they will either step up or step down the voltage, basically for the purposes of transmission. So basically the when you look at a power line, a tower, right? So the taller the tower, the higher the voltage. So that's how you can tell what exactly is the voltage that you have in that in that specific line. So
okay, now for instance, here we have a lower, just what I'd call a telephone pole, but it's really carrying AC, right? AC is it alternating current?
Yes, it is. It's AC.
Is that dangerous?
It's not at all. So as a matter of fact, this is a regular, I would say 13.8 kilovolts power line. So it's the one that is gonna be ultimately connected to your house. Okay. So you're gonna get like a transformer that is gonna step that down to about 220 volts, and this is what is gonna be connected to your house.
Okay, great, man. You have really helped today. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
And how about a little Portuguese for your dad back home?
Muito obrigado por ser subscriber. So I just said thank you for being a subscriber.
Very good. Thanks, Armando.
Thank you very much.
Adios.